All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another live edition with Latasha A. Brown. So I'll go ahead and kick things off and we'll get started. So first off, I'm gonna introduce myself, maybe for those that are not familiar with who I am Latasha A. Brown. I am the founder of Global Lofts. Global Lofts is a mission-led hospitality brand that is dedicated to connecting travelers to the world through the African diaspora. So first off, I want to first say thank you to the owners of Nataba Coffee. Thank you so much for allowing me to film this live here, and so thank you, Ruben and Diana. I appreciate the both of you so much. Okay, so I'm really excited about tonight's live and sharing a little bit more of my own personal story. A little bit nervous, but that's okay. I'm working through the jitters and everything. But so we're going to go ahead and get started. So tonight's live is, once again, based off the title, is getting to know the founder. Who is Latasha A. Brown? So what I decided to do tonight is to share a little bit about my story. So back in 2019, I decided to start basically figuring out a way how to document my life, right, and my journey. So I wrote about it. So basically tonight, I'm going to read from what I call my memoir. And I'm going to share at the start of my journey, which is back in 2013, all the way up to probably the end of 2018. So what I'm going to do, I'll break it up into like 3 different segments. I'll read some, and then I have some pointers and some things that I want to just kind of talk about and give more detail on. So basically, I wrote this in third person. So I will be referring to myself in third person because the idea of when I originally thought about writing this is it is my journey to meeting my future self, the future Tasha that I never thought that I could be. So it's just the journey of getting to know who I am. So that's why you'll hear me refer to myself in third person, and all of that. So I'm really excited to share that. Also, right before we get started, I do want to share and say that at the very end, I have an opportunity for business vendors. So make sure you stick around because at the end, I'll take a couple minutes and share more about what that opportunity is. So, all right, so we will get started. And like I said, I'm going to start from the very beginning. And then also before I start, I've never shared this at all. It is basically a draft. So of course, at some point in time, I'll polish it up, but this is real live and uncut and no one has heard of this. So just wanted to say that before we get going, okay? So I'll start at the beginning of 2013. All right. Back in 2013, I met a young African-American woman at the age of 30 who moved to Louisville, Kentucky from Tennessee. We had so much in common as if our lives were a mirror of each other. Not only was this a physical change in location for her, but a complete mental shift. So, what did she leave behind? Well, she left behind her family, her support system in Rock that she so dearly loves. But knowing that she would only be a few hours away helped to ease her transition, but still took time to process. She also left behind the mental box that she daily operated her life in. It had four walls, a ceiling, floor, but no door to exit. Living in a place of constant fear, rejection, and disappointment within herself was chipping away at her soul. She also left behind the remnants of a failed 8-year relationship. The relationship that she had envisioned time and time again that would end in marriage, 4 to 5 kids, and a fenced in backyard with a dog running around in endless circles of joy. At the time, she had fully accepted the life she dreamed of with her significant other and his kids to be her true reality. In doing so, she set aside her dreams of leaving her small hometown in search of something more. Her uncontrollable desire for marriage and a loving family was smothering the inner voice that would cry out to her, "You're meant for so much more." For years, she had this desire for something. She had a fire that burned within her constantly, but never knew what it was for. At times, it felt like torture to her, carrying this desire and excitement for something greater than herself, but having no connection to it. Often finding herself crying out to God night after night, year after year, for answers she so desperately needed. Until one day, he answered. All right, so I'm going to take a quick pause there and going to talk about a few things that I've already, in this first part that I've shared so far. So the first part that I want to talk a little bit about is the fact that I left home for the very first time at the age of 30. So honestly, for me, that I often say that me leaving home saved my life. It was a life-changing transition for me. Being home for, all of that time and being around my family. Yes, I absolutely, love and adore my family. But I think for me, it was important for me to start branching out and figuring out, well, who is Tasha? And that was honestly the beginning of that, with me moving away from home at the age of 30. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about really briefly is the long-term relationship. So for me, I was perfectly fine with being a bonus mom. Like I didn't think anything else beyond that. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Absolutely. I'll be there, support, the family, and to be a part of that. I mean, who doesn't want those things? Those are all things that I want. Like I want to be married. I want kids. And, honestly, I didn't look past those things. I didn't see or had no idea about the greatness and the direction that God would take me. But I'm grateful for the way my life did turn out. So everything has a reason. So I'm still really grateful for that relationship and time where I was in my life. The next thing I want to talk about is the fire, or that feeling that I had inside of me. So just reading this and reading my own story, it takes me back, right? Like I'm feeling all of the emotions of what I was going through at the time. So for me, for years, I had this, it was this feeling, something that I could feel inside. I knew that I was destined for something more. Like I had a deep passion for something, but I had no idea what that was. And for me, it was so frustrating because I had no idea where to look, in what sector or field, had no idea. So it kept me up at night. It kept me up at night often. And I just, it was, at times it was tough. It was tough having this feeling and knowing that you have something, a fire for something, and not knowing what it was for. So that was a very pivotal moment in my life. um, and then the other thing I want to point out is just, for me, my insecurities within myself at the time. I continued to grow, right? So I truly wasn't confident within myself. I didn't feel comfortable within myself, but then also too, I didn't know who I was. let's just be real. Let's be honest. I had no idea who Tasha was, but it's taken me, and I continue to learn, but it's taken me years to understand and learn that. So, okay. All right. So those are my points in the first part. Now I'm going to continue on reading. All right. Let's see where we left off at. Okay. For years, she had an interest in real estate development, often finding herself daydreaming about the possibilities of actually owning and redeveloping properties. Then, in October of 2016, at a networking event, an African American woman around Latasha's age shared something with her that profoundly changed her life forever. Latasha introduced herself, sharing her desire to open a bed and breakfast in the local area. Then the woman shared information about an organization of African American hotel owners. African American hotel owners, Latasha questioned in disbelief. Then the woman responded, yes, people who look like us own hotels. Later that night, after the event, Latasha could not get the statement out of her head. People who look like me? Her mind was racing with thoughts of possibilities and questioning herself if this could be a path for her. Am I capable of completing this unthinkable task? Time and time again, she told herself no. I don't know anything about the hospitality industry. Who am I to even think I could? I don't and I can't were the statements that overwhelmingly consumed her thoughts. That night, she released the thoughts of accomplishing something so big and simply rolled over and went to sleep. Now, 1 year later, in the summer of 2017, she participated in an entrepreneurial boot camp that truly pushed her outside of her comfort zone. It was here she began to envision her unique bed and breakfast, a location that had a few rooms, but nothing more. Still, as she moved forward, something was off about the vision. That overwhelming feeling she felt before had come back. It was as if it was as if she had a puzzle piece that she was forcing into place. Again, she would lay awake at night asking God what she was missing. Then the answer came to her. you're not dreaming big enough. Then the vision of a uniquely themed hotel came to her again. Once again, she was in denial that she could accomplish such a thing. She was overcome with a tremendous amount of fear, to the point she had to remind herself to breathe. Breathe. Just breathe, she told herself, as she slowly faded away into an unconscious state of sleep. Now, at the very end of 2017, she met a group of ladies, which they now call themselves the Divine Moment. There was no rhyme or reason as to how they all met, but it was just the divine intervention she was in need of. The retreat had given her the confirmation to the dreams she continued to have. Dream bigger, she told herself Sunday night as she laid in her bed, recalling the events from the weekend. It was there in that moment that it was made clear that her purpose, whatever it may be, is much bigger than herself. She accepted the challenge to look past what she thought she could do and strive towards what seemed to be impossible. Looking beyond the rejection and the disappointment, it was finally time to exit the mental box she lived in for so long. With courage, she finally stepped out of that box where she could feel the warmth of freedom on her face. Okay, God, I surrender, as she threw up both her hands in the air. I hear you, so let's go. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And all these things that I just kind of giggle, because these are things that these are my conversations that I have between God and myself. Okay, that's our relationship. So at the very end, where I talk about me surrendering, is a huge turning point in my life. So for several years, God gave me the vision probably 2 years prior. And year after year, I was in denial. I was like, God, I don't know. Okay, if you don't know me, my background, I am a radiologic technologist, X-ray tech for short. And I have been for the last 15 years, okay? In other words, I've never worked in hospitality. I've never worked in a hotel. So I'm just thinking of all these things of why I can't. I have no idea. I'm not educated. And so I was running. Let's just be honest. I was running. I was in complete denial. I kept, my conversations with God, I was just talking to him and I was like, listen, I don't know anything about hotels. So yeah, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing and move on. But you know what? God continued to bring it back to the forefront of my mind. And he continued to do it over and over and over again, to where I got to the point to where I was like, okay, all right, God, I hear you. I get the point that you're trying to make with me. So if this is what you want me to do, I'll give it a try. I'll do a little something until I hit a brick wall, and then I can, go on with my life. But I had to get to a place where I surrendered to the thought of something greater than myself, greater than what I could even think that I could do. And I did. And I remember that moment so clearly that I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna move forward until I hit a brick wall. And to this point, I have not hit one. So that was a very pivotal an important moment in my life. Let's see, what else I would like to talk about? Okay, so the retreat, divine moment. I love you guys. So that was a really great retreat with women that I'm all still connected to. Nicole, Bree, Shandy. I love all y'all. Y'all know that. That was, at that retreat was the first time that I said it out loud about my dream with Global Lofts, right? You know, it was the first time that I verbally confirmed it out of my mouth. So that was really important. But and I still remember, you know, writing down, I have it, I'm sure, in one of my journals around my house, writing down my dream of opening up this hotel. And yeah, that was a very, you know, important moment to me. And I'm grateful for the comfort. It gave me the confirmation to continue to move forward. And that's when I surrendered to God about the purpose that He's already, you know, set on my life. And then let's see. So the other part of that I want to talk about is my own limited belief. And when I talk about and I say limited belief, it's when I started off thinking about wanting to open up a bed and breakfast. So for me, in my thought process moving forward with doing this thing, I was like, you know what? I feel really comfortable with, let me just start with opening something that just has a few rooms, right? 4 to 5 rooms, you know, that seems to be manageable. And it does. Because honestly, if I think about the advice that I would give to someone that talks about doing something similar to what I'm doing, my advice would be start small. Do something, you know, start somewhere where it's manageable. And over the years, that's the advice that I've gotten, right? And it makes sense. But once again, I chose that based off of my own belief, what I could handle. And that's where I messed up at. And I've learned to not limit God. And that was me putting limits on God. I was basing it off of what Tasha could do. No, it's not based off of what Tasha can do, because all the things and what I've accomplished and even what I'm going to accomplish is because of God. God has no limits. And I was putting limits on him based off of what I thought I could do. So yeah, that's how I've gotten to the point of saying, you know what? God, you tell me how many rooms. Is it going to be 90? Is it going to be 25? Is it going to be 45? But I know it's going to be bigger than something, you know, as small as, you know, maybe a bed and breakfast. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the path that God chose me to do. Now, at the same time, saying the path that God has chosen for me, it's harder. It's harder. But I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of it being hard, because at the end of the day, it's worth it. And whatever I need, He's going to supply for me. And He has. On period. So the other part I want to talk about is the African American, the organization that I talk about of hotel owners. So that organization is NABHOOD, and it stands for the National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers. And that organization, you know, they are active and exist. So that I just wanted to make sure that people knew that is what I was talking about. So that organization is called NABHOOD. And the last part of the section and what I've read so far and shared is I wanted to talk about the entrepreneurial program that I did. So that was, again, in 2017. And that was with Dr. Angelique Johnson. And that's actually the first time that when I met her. And that was the birth of Global Lofts, and where it really started, where I started to start to formulate the actual name and starting the very beginning kind of stages of the branding in a sense. So that was, all of these are that I'm naming and I'm talking about are all pivotal moments in my life that are big and that have transformed and made a difference, right, in my journey and where I've gotten thus far. So that I pretty much went over the parts of what I read. I have one more section that I'm going to read, and then I'll share a little bit more. Okay. Here we go. So now we're into 2018. The year of 2018 will be my year of surrender, Latasha told herself. She continued to move throughout the year with this mindset. The mindset of operating outside of her comfort zone, because that is where leaders are born. To simply surrender and allow God to lead her. She continued her research and knowledge about hotel development and franchising. At times, still feeling like this was an overwhelming and daunting task for her, but she continued to move forward. While calling a few major hotel brands, she had no idea who to speak to or what questions to ask other than, I'd like to develop a hotel. Where would I start? The first few phone calls ended with a disappointing outcome until she spoke with someone at Marriott International headquarters. It was then that the individual shared with her about an educational summit that provided detailed information on how to develop a hotel with their brand. All she kept thinking in her head was, this is it. This is one of those moments where I have to trust and surrender. And she did. In October of 2018, she attended the Hotel Development Diversity Summit with Marriott Hotels in Washington, D.C. After attending this summit, her eyes were open to a whole new world. Being able to be in the same room with other like-minded African Americans like herself was inspiring. I have to keep moving forward, she told herself, as she stared at the numbers on her phone that she just dialed into her phone. Okay. It had now been a month since her life-changing experience in Washington, D.C. She had connected with the founder of the Organization of African American Hotel Owners and scheduled a conference call with him. Minutes, which seemed like hours, went by as she stared at her phone. She was terrified at the thought of making the call and had to find a way to convince herself to do so. Scared money don't make no money, she told herself as she pressed the green button symbol. The phone begins to ring and a male voice is heard on the other end. She then introduces herself and explains that they had met at the Marriott Hotel Diversity Summit last month. He then confirms their meeting and proceeds to ask her questions about where she was in the hotel development stage. She briefly explains how she had not begun the process and was in attendance merely to gain insightful information. To her surprise, There was a long pause of silence before he responded with a question. How did you hear about the event? For it was by invite only. She then explained that she had simply called Marriott asking information about franchising opportunities and was invited. Again, there was an awkward silence, which made her question her responses. He then replied, the individuals that get invited to this event are in advanced stages in their business and are financially ready to enter into a franchise contract with the hotel. Individuals in the beginning stages, like yourself, don't get invited to this event. I still can't understand why you were there. Latasha's mouth dropped wide open. She was overflooded with a sea of emotional responses, but only one statement came to mind. She quickly gathered herself and then replied confidently, I was there because I was supposed to be. And I'm going to stop there. Woo! Okay. So that takes me back. I can remember when I made this phone call, this meeting with the founder of NABhood. I was at work. I was working at the dental school. I was on my break. I was in one of our break rooms in the back. And I still remember having my phone in my hand with the number already dialed. And I was just staring at my phone because I was terrified. I honestly, like, I feel like I'm an introvert, right? All of these things, everything about this journey, everything has been new for me. None of it has been anything that I've ever experienced before, right? So I'm sitting here looking at my phone and I'm like, I'm terrified. I am terrified to dial this phone number. And so real life, all this is real life. I really did say, scared money don't make no money. And as soon as I finished that statement, I pressed that green button. Because it don't, it's the truth, right? You can't be out here scared. But you know what? No, you can't. Let me take that back. Yes, I have learned to move with my fear. So people love the fact that I smile. I smile a lot, okay? Now, I say that I smile because I'm extremely nervous. So when I'm scared of something or I'm really, really nervous, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. That's just the way I cope. So if I'm laughing, I'm smiling, you better know that I am nervous. I am very nervous, but I still, went through it. So just sitting there during that conversation with him, and he could not believe. It made no sense to him how I got an invite. And I'm sitting there on the other end. I'm like, what do you mean? I got the information like anybody else. But I understood now what he was saying, because that experience, even though, I was in the room, everything, honestly, that they talked about, especially the financial information, can we say it was way above my head. I sat there for hours and I had no idea what they were talking about. None. But I knew that, man, thank you, God. Okay, Holy Spirit. I had to be in the room. It was important for me to be in the room. I think a lot of times there are things that we don't understand or we know, to where Doesn't mean we're gonna have all the answers. I had no answers. I had no idea about anything. But you know what it did for me? It it opened my mind. I literally and the people that I have met at that summit, I am still connected to. Okay. I have the founder of Nabhood, I have his personal number. Like, like I stay connected with these people, right? But I say all the things, and when I think back to that moment of getting the information, right? Going there and being in the room, I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. I was in the room, y'all. I was in the room. I didn't know what they were talking about, but I was in the room. Now, if I was to go back now, of course, I would know everything what they're talking about, because I've made sure that even though that my life and my journey started out in this certain area, right? Medical, I made sure that I'm always seeking out the information. I'm always seeking out the information. So that's one thing I can say about myself, is that I am extremely, extremely resourceful. And because I have this passion and this drive, and I know I have this purpose on my life, I'm gonna find the information. And also too, no matter what, um, God keeps making room for me. that's why that's why I've gotten so far, um, that I have. Every year, every month, every day, I look back and I see how far I've come. And it's because God keeps making room for me. I keep more moving forward. So it's a working partnership, right? So I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm here. I'm gonna, I'm honestly, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that God chose me to fulfill this purpose. And when I think about the brand, it's like I stated before, and will continue to say before, it's so much more than accommodations. Like, I can't sometimes completely find the words to explain the vision that I see, and I feel it. I may not be able to always find the words to express that, but I see it, and that's all that matters. It was given to me, not to anyone else. So I'm really, excited and looking forward to what God's gonna do, because it's gonna be great. It's already great. So, all right. So as far as my life and my story and what I wanted to share, that's pretty much what I wanted to share tonight. So I'm gonna transition into another aspect, that an area that I feel like that God's been working on me, and when it comes to just like the brand and what Global Lofts is going to do. So this is that opportunity where I talked about for vendors. I am so excited to share with you Global Lofts. This is going to be our Glocal Experience Box. So it is a curated collection of products that are of culturally diverse products. So right now, I am looking for and want to connect with local vendors. So not just local. I mean, if you're located within Louisville, that is, I love that. But you don't necessarily have to be located within Louisville. Anywhere throughout the U.S., I am looking to partner with small businesses, because when I envision this curated box, that this will be the items and the products inside of this box are an extension of the hotel brand. These are products that will be throughout the hotel. These are the partnerships that I want to establish now. I want to be able to bring the world to people, to their doorsteps, even before we have the hotel developed. Okay. So these are going to be the products that will be, in this box will be the products that will be throughout the hotel locations, right? So I am asking and looking for vendors. So if you are a small business and you feel that your products would be a perfect fit for our curated box, I am going to share the link within the comment section. Or if you know of a business that would be perfect for the box, please do share this. Sharing is caring. So please do share this. I'm getting ready to share that link. So the first link I'm going to share is the link for the vendors. So it will be the inquiry form for the vendors that are interested. And so I'm going to share that within the comments section. And then also this link is on our website. It is on our website at www.global-lofts.com. And the link is also within our bio link on all of our social media platforms. So for Global Lofts, it's included in the bio link on Facebook and on Instagram. And then on my personal page, it's included on my personal Facebook page and on my Instagram page. And also, it is also included on my LinkedIn. So Latasha Brown, my LinkedIn profile page as well. So give me just a second. I'm going to go ahead and share the link, like I said, within the, let me turn this. Okay, I'm putting on mute. Okay, so I'm going to share it within the comments. All right, so I just shared that link within the comments for the vendors. So like I said, if you know of any vendors that would be perfect, I am looking to connect with you. And I'm really excited about this box. And it's been something in the making for a very long time. But you know what? Everything, timing is everything, right? So, and the timing is perfect. The other thing that I want to share is, so as far as the vendors and the form, we do have a deadline. Okay. So the deadline is going to be December 13th for all the inquiries for vendors. For those that may be interested in wanting to purchase a box, the boxes we're planning to have them available come the new year. Okay, so just to let you know about that, I am going to also share a link for a waiting list. So our first production of boxes will have a limited number of boxes available to purchase. So I am going to share that link for those that are interested in being added to the wait list. Okay, so we're gonna have a wait list for the boxes. And like I said, the boxes will be available come a little bit after the new year, okay? Let's see, so I'm going to go ahead and share this. Okay. All right. So I just shared that link for the boxes to be added to the wait list. And I'm glancing through some of the comments really fast so I can, okay. So what kind of items are you looking for to put in the box? So I am looking, honestly, I'm open to the type of items that I'm looking for. I want to have, basically when I think about the type of products, I'm thinking of products that, because what we're doing is that, wanting to create and bring this kind of global feel to people, right? And what are the ways that you can do that? You can do that through taste, right? The things that we see, smell. So that could be, handcrafted products. It could be anything. Like, I'm just really honestly leaving it open. When it comes to like product sizes, I'm thinking between 2, 4, 6, and 8-ounce size products. But like I said, I want people to just fill out the form, and because if you're not sure, feel free to reach out to me as far as, letting me know about more about your products. And I want to keep it open, right? As far as the options and what types of products that we'll include in the box, and we'll kind of see how things go for this first batch. Let's see. Eyesight concepts. Okay. Eyesight concepts. Okay. Yes, I did get your form. So I'll be reaching out to you here shortly in the next couple of days. And let's see. My LS. Yes, I know. Okay. You have books. You know what? Fill out the form. Fill out the form, because that could be a possibility. So let's definitely talk about it more, Celeste. Okay. Let's see. And let's see. I see someone commented about soaps and body butters. Yes. And I think that's probably, let's see, that looks like, okay, I see. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Airbnb owner. Okay. Yes. You know what? Actually, we need to connect. I'll connect. I'll reach out to you. All right. Okay. I think that might be everything. All right, everyone. Well, we're right at an hour, so I didn't want to stay too long. But again, I thank you for the opportunity to allow me to share my story and my journey. And then also, just kind of putting out there the Glocal Experience Box. Like, I'm really excited to get this going. And yeah, stay tuned to what we have going on and what's coming up next. And again, like I said, I thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.